Welcome, everybody. This is the Helm Dev Weekly Call on Thursday, the 12th of November, 2020. And usual format, we're going to have announcements and then discussions. And then once we get through the list of discussions, we're quite small, I think, this week. So then we move on over, is there any open topics? So without further ado, let's have a look at see what's our announcements for this week. So first off, the Artifact Hub now has experimental support for OCI charts. That sounds interesting. So I presume, and Josh or Farina, would you be able to take that one?
This is the first I'm hearing, so must be a Farina.
Okay, is Mr. Farina in the house? I think he is just joining, so.
You know?
Yay! Hey, Matt.
I joined when you said my name about doing something, so I have no idea what it was.
Okay, you're just going to do, you're going to be the moderator for the next 6 months of the week. No, I'm only joking. So did you add about the Artifact Hub now has experimental support for OCI charts?
Yes, I did add that. They just added it. When you go to add a registry, if you prefix it with OCI : / and then you put the chart location, you can list it in the Artifact Hub now.
Excellent.
It's a new feature. I thought folks would be interested in knowing. They've done a lot of work to add interesting features over there, such as you can put annotations in a chart YAML file that lists the images, and then they'll show you the security scans of those images.
Okay.
There's a lot of neat things. I'll be talking about that more soon publicly, but a lot of neat stuff over there. But I thought OCI images was a neat one.
Okay, so we look forward to when you do your blog or your podcast or whatever around the new capabilities. Okay, thanks, Matt. Up next, 3.4.1 got released this week, so thank you to Matt for getting that out the door, and that brings in a couple of neat fixes we have from the 3.4.0. Anything to add to that, or will I move on?
I'll just say this was the first, if folks haven't known, of our Patch Wednesdays. There's a blog post I put out on it yesterday. Mark came up with our release cycles. And so now we have a documented release cycle, and this is the first thing on it. So if you want to learn more about that, head over to the Helm blog or HIP2, and you can read about our release cycles. We even have a calendar that I hope all the core maintainers are willing to subscribe to, so they get notifications on when these things are supposed to go out, so we get them out.
I think he's pointing at me there, and I will get back to you on that, sir.
And Josh, and
pretty much everybody stayed silent when I requested email.
As the teacher says, please, no names.
So everybody see me offline or Mark offline, and we'll get you added to this calendar so you can be part of this.
Look, we'll meet you over at KubeCon and we'll discuss it next week. Okay. Okay, that joke never gets dry. Okay, so I think this is a great move. So great work from Mark and from Matt on this, because I think this has been asked for a long time. When is that release coming? When am I going to see my thing in there? So at least now, people will know in advance what's happening. So I think great work on that. So thanks very much, folks. Right, moving along. Yes, here's the good one. Helm v2, in case you don't know, is going end of life tomorrow. And also the stable and incubator repositories are going to be deprecated. So there's an archive out in charts.helm.sh. Not very good at keeping URLs in my head. Sorry about that. But look, this has been a year in the pipe. It's very hard to think that we're a year down the road. Some of us have less hair, whatever has moved in that 1 year. But I can't believe it's a year since that. I really can't. It's just mad. So this was always on the cards that we'd be moving towards this. So for people that are listening in, please consider moving over to Helm 3, because there'll be no longer any more fixes or security fixes for Helm 2. And Helm 3 gives you a lot of the advantages which have been put out there before. We have a migration path on that, so it's worth looking at that. We've done a workshop there's quite a lot of documents out there as well, or just reach out in the community. And also around the charts that, you know, a lot of great work has been done by Matt and Scott in particular as well, where he's taken an awful lot of charts. He's worked with people to try and host those charts. So just to know that if you're still taking charts from Stable and Incubator, that they're no longer supported, so they might be updated or fixes, etc., put in it. So please have a look at the READMEs to say where they're now being hosted, and if they're not, maybe consider hosting them yourself. And also, I think, Matt, you can correct me on this, or Scott, that you will now get a deprecation notice when you try to install with that chart, a warning message. Is that correct?
Not yet. I think that's going to go out tomorrow. You'll get a message right now that says it's going to be deprecated.
Okay.
But I think all of those changes happen tomorrow, which will probably be a busy day as we run around and do some of those things.
Okay. But at least you get the message to say, you know, it's going to be deprecated. So yeah, it's and some great blogs have come out from Vic and from Matt in the last week or two. So just spread the word around to people in your company as well. So it's important that also too that we won't know when the storage that you store the charts in Google will eventually go down. So it may be possible one day you try to do an install or an upgrade and you just hit an error. So just to be aware of that as well. Anything else to add to that?
Tiller dies tomorrow on Friday the 13th.
Look, Tiller's one of these things I think gets an awful lot of bad. I want to stand up for Tiller on this one. You know, it's easy to bash a Tiller, you know, but listen, Tiller's been around longer than most of us here, so I'm okay with it, really, to be honest. But Tiller, yes, that's a good point. Tiller is going, you know, and as they say, beware. Julius Caesar went, and then who'd you get after that? So yeah, let's see how it goes there. So, I don't think there's any relevance to this, but there you go. Okay. Anyone else want to add anything on that, or anyone want to cry over Tiller going? No, I think we've happy campers today, so that's all good. All right. So the final one is QCon Cloud Native Con is next week, the 17th to the 20th of November. So there's a couple of Helm talks out there. You probably get them on Twitter from the Helm Twitter account. And also there is a very interesting talk, which is just one talk this year from the actual Helm community itself. And that's from Matt, the two Matts, Butcher and Farina, and the one Bridget. Yay. So looking forward to that because this seems like an interesting topic, and it's all very guarded at the moment. It's kind of like, if anyone remembers back when Dallas, the Who Shot JR Dallas episode, and they kept all the tapes, you know, maybe for people on this doesn't know, VHS tapes were brought by Security Corps. They were even brought to Ireland by Security Corps. So yeah, that's how important it is. So looking forward to that. So please log into the sessions. We'll also have Boot Judy there. So if you have any questions, please come along. And the times and dates are out on Twitter, because I'm not even going to pretend I know what times or dates they are. I'll try and turn
Right. I dropped a link and Josh can go grab the exact links to all of the 3 Helm office hours. Karen set us up with 3. They are on the conference schedule. And if you already got Allow listed as like a moderator of the Zoom session, then you already know for ones you signed up for. But I am contractually obligated to tell you on Karen's behalf that even if you did not sign up to be the official person, you can join any of the Helm office hours and you'll just be on a Zoom and talking to the community. And it was fun last time. Farina, you did it last time, remember? It was fun.
I prefer the face-to-face. I'm not really sure what the virtual is going to be like.
You're just on a Zoom like this, talking to community members who want to shoot the shit about Helm. It's
well,
fun.
I suppose you don't have to wear a mask and
See, there you
sanitize
go.
your hands. So there you go. Right, Sunday
it works all right.
All right,
Not
Sunday
as
we're
good
going to
as
get
the
back
first
to
day,
talk.
but it works okay.
Yeah, but Sunday we're going to get back talking to people. You know, one of these days. So yeah. Okay, so please look out for next week. It's going to be exciting and a bit of fun. So yeah. Okay, let's move along. The first discussion topic today is from me, and it's around the the request for moving the Helm Cube APIs plug into the Helm org. So we discussed this probably back in August sometime. Matt Butcher and Bridget have put together a HIP around how people should request if they want to move to the org. So I've kind of used what's in the HIP at the moment. So Helm org people, if you get a chance, please take a look and see what you think. Anything I need to elaborate on it, or is that okay?
No, I'll go take a look at it, and it reminds us we need to get back to that HIP and wrangle a few people to go look at that and see how well this process works. So you'll probably your thing will probably be a test to see how it works.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, next up is the upcoming call schedule. So there's a few things around. So traditionally, we don't do a dev weekly call the week of KubeCon. So Bridget, very importantly, put in that there'll be keynotes on Thursday the 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is, what time is that, Bridget? That's about a half an
It's
hour.
great. I mean, literally this call would end and then keynotes would start.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
So if we want to cancel the call next week, cool. But just keep in mind, we'll definitely cancel it the week after that, which is US Thanksgiving. So do we want to take a 2-week break right now, or do we want to take a 1-week break right after next week, after KubeCon is the question, I guess.
Okay,
I don't have an answer for that. I just want to make sure we think about that.
Let's do a democratic vote. Are we going to vote with the people on the call now? Okay.
Well, you've got to vote.
Okay, a show of hands for those who want to cancel for the next 2 weeks. Okay, there's half a hand from Mark.
Sorry,
Okay.
for Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, you mean? Or
No,
sorry,
no.
Or next week with KubeCon.
For KubeCon
Oh,
and Thanksgiving. Okay, so hands up who wants the meeting to be on during KubeCon.
Yeah.
Hands up who wants to cancel the meeting for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I can't even vote for that because I don't do Thanksgiving, so I don't even know why.
You just asked opposite questions, though. It was confusing.
And I love the Canadians; they don't care because they've had their Thanksgiving, so they're just completely chilled out.
All right, let's make this simple. We're going to cancel the next 2 weeks unless somebody really wants to have a meeting next week. Is there somebody who has a pressing topic that they definitely want to talk about next week? Nope.
Okay.
Cancel the next 2 weeks, and we also cancel Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, right?
Okay, the boss has
Sounds
spoken.
good to me. Unless somebody
I mean,
has
we
a
have
reason
to.
We're going to go with what Bridget said.
We're not
Yes.
going to get anyone to come on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Certainly not me, because I'm going to be on vacation. So
and if there's something pressing, we have other channels to decide.
Yeah.
Things.
yeah, and
Otherwise,
sorry
just go-
about Josh. Sorry about the Brady Bunch vote thing, which is basically we all feel ambivalent about next week. But if we don't have a pressing need to have a meeting, I'd say let's have fewer meetings rather than more, because next week is already going to be.
Well, thanks to Bridget for taking control and becoming the boss.
Sorry,
and
I
all
just
that.
wanted to move this along because I know you have other things to talk about, Martin.
All right, I'm just going on here too much, aren't I? Yeah. But anyway, look, people, go and enjoy yourself. We're off for the next 2 weeks and for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Okay, excellent. All right. Right, Bridget, you're up. Better, more stats on chart downloads, please.
Not a super important question, but just kind of interesting because I know Farina was noticing that we didn't have great stats in the past. And now that we've changed things, in theory, we might have slightly better stats. I was just curious if that's something that you have insight into yet. Not
We
yet.
don't have better stats because it's
Okay.
on GitHub and it's GitHub
Okay.
pages. So we don't have, do we get your typical GitHub pages stats for that?
Yeah, which are none.
So if you know somebody who works at that company who could get stats, then that would be useful.
Very subtle, Matt Farina. Very subtle.
Yeah, the only thing that's possible. Oh, sorry, did I overtalk someone? Anyway, the only thing that I think could be possible would be, doing some CDN stat stuff, because we do control the domain, but we don't have that set up at this moment.
No, you'd have to do something entirely different. And
Yeah.
since we're turning it down, we probably aren't going to pay attention to it now. Unless
Yeah.
somebody really wants to go put in all that legwork and find a CDN and the funding and all that good stuff.
So do I understand that we don't have stats on old deprecated repos, and we don't have stats on the new repos either?
Correct. So there was a problem. So the old repository in Google Cloud had this really weird thing happen, and Vic still hasn't been able to figure out what it is. Last I heard, he was trying to get to internal Google logs that we couldn't even get to try to figure out what happened with our data. Like like we have queries coming in for Git references showing up in the logs. Git references, right? And it's literally just Git direct references. Like what would even cause this? We have no idea how the logs and information got this way and what's good data and what's bad data. We don't know from the logs we were getting there. One day, like a switch went and the data all went bad. Vic can't figure it out. So we don't have good logs from there.
And we can't even just see like random or like.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
And you sound like you're in a tunnel or a washing
Yes.
machine.
Desert. I was asking if we just have gross stats, like how many gigs are being pulled.
I'm
Still
sorry, I
hard
don't
to
know
hear.
what
Maybe you can type it in, Dan.
Dan, we might come back to you. Maybe stick it into Slack or something because the line is just a little bit bad at the moment. And if it improves, we can come back to you if that's okay.
In the meantime, I have one quick note about this, though, just for those interested in the stats. While the legacy repo, while the legacy stable and incubator read now, as of tomorrow, read only chart repos will most likely not have stats because it's just not a priority. We've never had them, and why would we do it now? New repositories where charts are moving to these new repositories, if they're using the strategy, if they're using chart releaser or some similar strategy, you can get stats from those now through the GitHub API. So that is a plus.
Yeah, we can't because we're not using that. We were not able to use that for the stable and incubator repositories moving,
Right.
But if people do use something else, they can. Yeah. And as far as gigabytes,
I'm mainly referring, sorry, Matt, just to be clear, in case other people weren't clear about this, for the initiative to move charts to new distributed repos, I meant only.
Yeah, moving the stable and incubator itself, we don't have stats on. And I'll also say we have data on downloads from the old location as far as amount of bandwidth used. But again, we don't know if that includes garbage data in it that has no relevance to us or where that came from. So we don't know if it's any good. So our literally our bandwidth number on usage per month, we got no idea how good it is unless Vic can figure out what's going on and what counted against the bandwidth, which was some other garbage coming, because we don't know what's going on. We just can't tell. That's been a problem for us for a little while. Yeah. All right, we could probably move on to the next one now, though.
I say we can. Before we move on, if anyone wants to put their name down for the assignments in the chat or in the doc, please do for 3 weeks' time. That's 2 + 1 for some of us, in case I got the wrong 3. Okay, let's move along. Right, so this is one I'm going to talk about. So what we found at the moment is, and this brings us back again to the deprecated APIs issue we had a couple of months ago. So what we found is, with one chart in particular at the moment, but we're open to more information coming forward, possibly from Joe on this, is that if you take the Tomcat chart and you use version 0.3.0, which is using the old deprecated now removed API for deployments, whether you use the beta 1 or whether you use the enhancements 1, I can't think of the other one, and you install that on a particular version of Kubernetes, like 1.15, where it's still the API is still there and hasn't been removed. And then you decide to do an upgrade to the latest version of the API or the supported version, for example, using 0.4.1. What we're finding is that Kubernetes under the hood isn't doing a proper delete.
I can explain it. I figured it out.
Okay.
So I was looking at this morning. Going, what's going on here? So what you have is you've got something that's using like we'll say a deployment apps v1 beta 1, apps v1 beta 2, whatever, right? It's using a pre-apps v1 release. And so that deployment then creates a replica set, and the replica set creates pods, right? And when you upgrade the chart, you end up with something that's now a new API version. It's apps v1. So what happens is Kubernetes upgrades it to apps v1, and the existing replica set and pod are ignored, and a new replica set is created, and a new pod is created for that replica set, and the old one isn't deleted along the way. In fact, I can reproduce this with kubectl. I can use Helm template to generate for the old chart and Helm template to generate for the new version of the chart, and have those two YAMLs side by side, and I can kubectl apply the first one, wait for everything to come up, kubectl apply the second one, and I get the exact same thing. And it's because Kubernetes controller back then, when you upgrade that API version, isn't properly handling the replica set and the replica set the pod then across the upgrade. That's what's happening. And you can replicate this with kubectl. That's why it's not happening. What you really need is for the old thing to be deleted and to create a new thing. And so what you need is a different name on the resource. So if you change the resource name along with the API version, it'll delete the old resource, in which case it'll do the garbage collection right. And then the new resource will create the new replica. But this is a problem in Kubernetes, and I could totally reproduce with kubectl.
Yeah, and this is something we've had before,
Yeah.
where we've had the MapKube API a way to circumvent issues we've had around the deprecated APIs. But the other thing with this too is that there's possibly another way around it too, where you basically use the MapKube API to update the release API version and then upgrade your cluster to the next version 1.16. And then Kubernetes, what it will do on the upgrade then is it literally wipes everything. And what it'll bring up the pod then is it'll bring just one pod up with the correct API version on it. So it's something, you know, and it's come up, and the reason here why it's come up is because the symptom happened during a conversion, but the symptom was caused by functionality we put into Helm.3 around the ability to use resources that were already available inside in the cluster. And if we wanted to attach, an orphaned resource to a particular release, we provided that capability in there. And then when the user was doing the conversion, then they see this flash saying there's a release already available there on an upgrade. So basically, this underlying issue is causing, we'll say, issues in other aspects that are showing up for users. So I suppose it's something that maybe we have to document here, and maybe something we'll add to the deprecated APIs doc, unless someone can find a better solution around it.
I think documenting is better than Helm putting magic in for some of these cases, because in a while this will eventually go away with those deprecated APIs. And this is a Kubernetes problem. It's actually not a problem with Helm, because you'll get the same thing if you follow the same process with kubectl, because it's the way the controller is handling the versions and replica sets.
No, some of it will go away, but not all of it will go away, because other APIs will get deprecated, go down the line, and we might see different problems again on this.
Oh,
but probably the best practice we have on that is, and we'll try and document this as we go along. But as you say, Martin, is correct. You know, we just can't provide a solution within Helm itself. And it's the same with the plugin, can't find a solution to circumvent something that's been circumvented to start with. So two wrongs don't make a right on it. And we just have to find a way where we can help users going forward. And I think Joe was good to come forward on that. So Joe, I've got a homework for you on that one, and you're going to get me the list of a few other charts, because you told us there's about half a dozen that you found a problem with. So it'd be great to get the information back on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, in a process. So when you upgrade, just that the name needs to change as well for this because this is a Kubernetes and different resources that change over time because you've got different controllers that manage those resources will probably do different things with their issues. So it's not like there will be a consistent pattern here. In this case, it's the deployment controller ignored its existing replica set, didn't upgrade it, and created a new replica set, right? An entirely different controller from another thing may do something different, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not like there's a consistent pattern that we're going to see when these issues come up because it's a bug down in there. And I don't know why it wasn't solved. And it's already far too many versions old to get any movement on it.
Well, I think the way that it's being solved from what I can see is a lot of these issues were solved by when you upgrade your cluster, it's literally just taking everything out and putting it back in again when the upgrade happens, and it's just putting it back together with the new version of it. And so it's, I suppose it's going with the hammer approach and then the replace approach. So yeah. Okay, thanks for that, man. Anyone got any questions on that, Joe? Because you were particularly involved in that.
No, like I said, we found our workaround. It was delete charts and put them back in.
Yeah, but maybe the softest approach there would have been looking in now, but we weren't fully aware of it, was that you could use the Kube APIs to upgrade your API in place inside in the release data. And then when you upgraded your cluster, then you should be able to do an upgrade in that. But I just need to verify that that works. Okay. So I'll see how that goes on that.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm kind of busy until after KubeCon, so I'll do it then.
Okay, that's perfect. Whenever you can get any information back, it'd be great. Thank you. Okay, so moving along to the final issue for today is a link to the release calendar on helm.sh from Mark.
Yeah, just had a thought. That first, thanks Farina for the blog. That was awesome. The calendar, the whole thing. I think we should put. I can do a PR for it. A small link so that people can find the calendar, because outside the blog, I don't think we have it. So I'll do a PR for that. That's it. Thank
Sounds
you.
good to me.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Matt. Right, finally, that's all our list on that. Anyone got any topics or discussions they want to bring up?
Just want one notes volunteer for December 3rd and one more issue triage volunteer between now and December 3rd. I think we'll need several because it's a long period.
I can help out Thanksgiving week because you'll all be off. And if there's anyone else wants to put down their names in between that, next week and so forth. So
I think that gives us another. I think that gives us enough issue triage. If we don't have a notes volunteer for next time, I will pick someone at random when the meeting starts.
okay, we now know who's in charge.
Or
folks,
Dan
so.
can do it. Thanks, Dan. And yes, Martin, I defer the floor to you.
No, you've managed to resolve a load of topics today. Right, anyone else got any topics they'd like to raise? Very quiet bunch today. Okay, finishing on time. Started on time, finish on time. We mean to continue. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great week, and don't forget KubeCon next week and V2 going away and deprecations of the chat repos. Okay, take care. Bye.